TNA, Global Force, or Impact Wrestling, it is quite the accomplishment that the promotion has now been around for over 20 years and over 1,000 episodes of television. Not only that, but Impact Wrestling has provided some truly amazing moments in that time and continue to do so to this very day. And I'm not just talking about amazing moments for Impact either, as their contributions to the industry as a whole should not be slept on. From epic debuts and emotional title triumphs to physics-defying stunts, I'm Adam Pacitti, and these are the 10 best Impact Wrestling moments. Join us. But before we start, this month Impact Wrestling is coming to the UK for the first time in 8 years, and you can be a part of it. Featuring the biggest names on the roster, including Alex Shelley, Josh Alexander, Trinity, Deonna Purrazzo, Eric Young, Jordan Grace, Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, Gail Kim, Grado, and Joe Hendricks! This is your chance to finally see Impact Glasgow on October 26th, Newcastle on the 27th for Turning Point featuring Will Ospreay, and Coventry on the 28th and 29th. And if you want to upgrade your experience, you can do so. Take a Rover, and it was one of the best crowds I have ever been a part of. I really mean that. It was a proper fan-friendly experience, and this tour will not be any different. If you've been sleeping on Impact, or maybe you've not watched in a little while, now is the time to get back on board. And Cultaholic's own Tom Campbell is ring announcing in Newcastle and Coventry, so if that doesn't change your mind, I don't know what will. Links to tickets are in the Unbreakable Triple Threats. The main event of Unbreakable 2005 was given to AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe, as the ultra-talented threesome clashed in a triple threat match for the Fallen Angels X Division title.
AJ Styles has been doing this with Samoa Joe too.
Since the promotion's inception, but this was the first time the High Flyers have been tasked with headlining a pay-per-view. What the trio of stalwarts managed to produce exceeded even the loftiest of expectations. For almost 25 breathtaking minutes, Daniels, Joe and Styles put it all on the line in one of the most hard-hitting and innovative bouts ever seen inside a six-sided ring, which ended with the Phenomenal One regaining the title. Summing up what the company's hungry up-and-comers were all about, this
AJ Styles is just that guy.
On the hard-working X Division, but reinforced the notion that Impact were a group very much on the rise. If you wanted cutting-edge professional wrestling performed by fresh faces, this was the place to see it.
I might do a reaction video to that still.
But the main event of Unbreakable 2005 remains the creme de la creme. Number 9, the formation of the main event Mafia. There was sometimes criticism levelled at Impact's part-time crew of aging headliners, with some fans believing that they greedily took the focus away from the ever-grafting originals like Styles, Joe, Beer Money, and so on. While some of their criticism was perhaps warranted, there is no denying that when one particular group of established legends banded together, it was nothing but a good thing for the company. After a couple of months of storyline hints, Kurt Angle, Sting, Kevin Nash, and Booker T announced the formation of the main event Mafia on the October 23rd, 2008 episode of Impact in a very entertaining pre-taped backstage segment.
Didn't even know he was on Impact. I didn't even know a lot of these people are on Impact, as well as WWE.
Steiner to their ranks. Impact's own spin on factions such as
Comes full circle.
and Evolution.
Now Braun Breaker is a part of WWE.
Brainchild of
Scott Steiner, Braun
There
Breaker.
is something powerful lurking under all that wonderful hair. Running roughshod over the promotion while decked out in designer suits, the main event Mafia were quite easily the most dominant and impressive stable in Impact history. Sorry, Aces and Eights. Number 8, Alex Shelley wins the Impact World Title. Alex Shelley made his Impact Wrestling debut way back in June of 2004, wrestling in a dark match at a TV taping. Initially used as little more than an X Division enhancement talent, Shelley kept plugging away and climbing the ladder until he became one of the most consistently entertaining parts of the show, and nobody could deny his ability. Whether cutting up with Kevin Nash in Paparazzi Productions or tearing it up with Chris Sabin in the Motor City Machine Gun, Shelley was always on song. He left Impact in 2012.
He kind of looks like Chris Danger and MJF.
thing in Japan and on the Indies.
He looks like a combination of
was welcomed back with open arms in 2022.
Yeah, combination of Chris Danger and
MJF.
Yeah,
his hands on
if they're children together.
Prize. After defeating Steve Macklin in a captivating
I see it as well. Look, you see it.
21-year veteran celebrated his uplifting victory with two of his closest friends in Saban and Frankie Kazarian. The path to get there may have been long and tiring, but it was all worth it for one of the most versatile, well-liked and respected performers in the business. Number 7, Victory Road. For the first couple of years of its existence, Impact operated on a weekly 2-hour pay-per-view model. While this was novel, it was far from sustainable, and at some point they realised that they needed to switch to a more economically viable monthly schedule. After a couple of false dawns, Impact finally presented its first 3-hour monthly pay-per-view on November 7th, 2004. Giving fans a taste of a little bit of everything that they were about, Victory Road had a couple of exciting X Division matches, a Monsters Ball brawl featuring Raven and homegrown favourites Abyss and Monty Brown, an elimination last man standing NWA Tag Team title contest between America's Most Wanted and Triple X, and much more. In the show's main event, Jeff Jarrett retained his NWA World's title by beating Jeff Hardy with help from Scott Hall and Kevin Nash before the reclusive Randy Savage emerged for the cliffhanger conclusion.
Mr. Savage, I'm a savage.
It was a pretty damn good show,
I've heard that song
but
in
more
ages.
importantly, it was a historic one and put Impact on the pay-per-view map once and for all. Number 6, Christian Cage wins the big one. One of the biggest names to jump ship from WWE to Impact was Christian Cage, who left Vince McMahon's employ when he allowed his contract to expire on October 31st, 2005. 2 weeks later, Captain Charisma showed up in the Impact Zone during the Genesis pay-per-view, kicking off a rivalry with NWA World Champion
And he won the big one.
For the next few months, Christian and Double J set the stage for their inevitable showdown, which was booked as the main event of Against All Odds 2006. Fans were desperate to see Cage topple Jarrett, the man who had been NWA champ for the vast majority of Impact's life to that point. After a seesaw battle, Christian warded off interference and hit the Unprettier to win his first world title. It was a joyous moment.
Unprettier? I thought it was called the Kill Switch.
Wanted to see a new person.
I'm guessing you have to change it since he was in WWE anymore.
He left the competition and bet on himself to become the star he believed he had been held back from being. Number 5, going head-to-head with WWE Raw. Okay, so the decision for Impact to go head-to-head with WWE Raw might not have been such a success, but you would be a liar if you didn't admit there wasn't a strong sense of excitement when they first went up against each other on Monday, January 4th, 2010. The move came about following the arrivals of Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, who believed that the best way to compete with Vince McMahon was to try to take him on directly. But this live edition of Impact showed that they were serious about making some noise by presenting the return of Jeff Hardy and the debut of Ric Flair, along with star power heavy angles featuring the likes of Hogan, Bischoff, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Sean Waltman. The episode, the in-ring highlight of which was provided by Kurt Angle and AJ Styles, drew the highest rating in the show's history. Number 4, AJ Styles becomes Impact World Champion. AJ Styles was pivotal to the
I have no
success
doubt
of
that AJ
Impact
Styles will
from the
ever
very
be
get-go. A relative unknown
champion.
whose main exposure came briefly during the
He was about
dark
to be
days of
trolled.
WCW.
He's the phenomenal man. He's
One
phenomenal
was
one.
the linchpin
AJ
of the X
Styles.
Division, winning the X Division title on the promotion's second weekly pay-per-view. Over time, Styles outgrew the division and started making his way up the card. He became King of the Mountain for the third time when he beat Jeff Jarrett to win the NWA World's Heavyweight title at Hard Justice 2005, though his reign sadly only lasted a little over a month. It would take AJ more than 4 years to win another world title, but it was seriously worth the wait. After outpacing Kurt Angle, Sting, Matt Morgan and Hernandez to bag his first Impact World Championship in a 5-way at No Surrender 2009, Styles was joined in celebration by his longtime rival cum partner Christopher Daniels, with friends and fans in the Impact Zone flooding to the ring to show their appreciation for a man who as much as any other had gotten the company to where it was. Number 3,
And he's done the exact same thing with WWE as well.
Are simply destined
Carried
to be
TNA and
played
carried
on the
WWE.
highlight reel for all of
He's
eternity.
truly a legend.
their power
AJ Styles truly a
undiminished
legend.
over time. There have been countless spectacular spots, moves and bumps in the history of Impact Wrestling, but one stands head and shoulders above the rest. During the excellent and exhausting Six Sides of Steel main event at Turning Point 2004, Impact's second ever 3-hour pay-per-view, America's Most Wanted and Triple X pulled out all the stops as they proved that they deserved top billing. In a match featuring no shortage of dangerous spills, Elix Skipper's death-defying cage walk Hurricane Rana had viewers' hearts in their mouths. Watching Primetime graciously walk across the worryingly thin top of the cage, it felt as though time stood still for a second there. Only when Chris Harris fell to the mat below did the crowd erupt in appreciation for one of the damnedest things they had ever seen or ever would see in an Impact Wrestling ring. Special shout out to Mike Tenay and the late great Don West for putting it over big and giving it immediate reverence on commentary too. Number 2, the return of Sting. Sting seemingly didn't fancy doing too much wrestling following the sale of WCW to WWE in March of 2001 and famously resisted joining Vince McMahon's promotion until over a decade after the fact. The Stinger had flirted with Impact during their early days, wrestling a handful of matches on the weekly pay-per-views that emanated from the Tennessee State Fairgrounds in Nashville. Impact wanted a firmer commitment, and after a couple of years of speculation and rumour, the imminent re-emergence of the icon was confirmed at the close of Turning Point 2005. At the following month's final resolution, Sting walked the aisle of the Impact Zone for the first time, teaming with Christian to defeat Jeff Jarrett and Monty Brown in the show's main event. The then 46-year-old looked great out there, and fans ate up everything he did. Sting was clearly happy with how things went, as he chose to stick around Impact until 2014. Put simply, Sting had a wonderful run in Impact Wrestling, a wonderful run that began with a grand return. Number 1, Kurt Angle debut. As great as the
that had to be number 1. Put that one up to top. Put that one on top. Number 1.
In the summer of 2006 that felt like a total and utter game changer. Soon after leaving WWE, Kurt freaking Angle was announced as joining Dixie Carter's crew at the end of the No Surrender pay-per-view. The video hyping his impending arrival was enough to set pulses racing, but his actual Impact debut was on another level entirely. Marching out with purpose on the October 19, 2006 edition of Impact, the Olympic gold medalist laid a shoot headbutt on Samoa Joe before hitting the Samoan submission machine with an angle slam. Well, that's certainly one way to make an impression, eh? The subsequent pull-apart brawl between the two men was positive.